Hey everybody, I'm stuck in traffic and I wanted to just sort of talk through something that's been on my mind as I've been sitting in traffic. And the best SEOs don't work jobs. So the best SEO is not the director of SEO at Slack. The best SEO is not a guy that's at an agency or even owning an agency. I hate to tell people this, but we're not the best SEOs. The best SEOs have their own websites. They're testing, they're failing, they're finding what works and scaling up. They're pushing Google to the limits. They're agile. They're making their own tools. They're using other tools that have certain purposes but don't get used. They're not using them in the same way that I use them at Slack or I use them at Amazon. These SEOs you can't hire either, right? Like the best SEOs you can't hire. It's not worth the time and not worth the money, not worth the hassles. Taking that thought and expanding it to myself, like, where do I think I fit in? I've never been the best SEO. I think maybe 10 years ago was probably the best at SEO I've ever been. It's a long time to be off your peak. But I had the most, I was closest to the knowledge of, how Google worked back then. I was ranking sites that I owned in competitive niches, and I was pushing Google to the limits. So I've taken some jobs, I've been head of SEO programs, and different skill set. It's working within constraints. And this is something that I've gotten good at and something that I value a lot. And this is where my career has kind of been accelerated. Big businesses, big companies, they need SEO done. And mostly it's dealing with headaches and working within constraints to get SEO done. It's also organizing, right? Can you solve these problems at the scale of 1,000 people? Or 1,000 pages, I'm sorry. 1,000,000 pages. Can you push through bureaucracy? Can you make business cases? Can you handle engineering resources being allocated other places or being in a backlog? How do you convey the message to upper management that this needs to be reprioritized higher? These are not things that the best SEOs do well, but these are how the best director of SEOs manage teams and manage working in big companies. I'm not the best anymore at SEO. Probably never was. But I'm pretty good. I'm probably not the best at this either, but I'm pretty good at finding workarounds, dealing with bureaucracy, building teams, finding wins where you can get them. That's also another thing that it's amazing how many big companies will let you do things like, they'll give you, like, SEOs will get free reign on title tags. It's pretty important. Like, it's a pretty huge thing, I think. Like, how you show up in Google on search results. Yeah, so just working within constraints. Like, to me, when I first got into that position, I was super frustrated by working within the constraints, because when I was an SEO working on my own sites, I had none of those constraints. I could do anything I wanted. And so this is an adjustment a lot of the people that are drawn to SEO can't actually make. Part of the fun of SEO is being able to just do whatever you want. But also for me now, like in a higher up corporate position, a big part of the fun for me is making a change and seeing it impact at scale of like millions of visits or billions of dollars generated. So if you're a company and you're hiring or you're looking to get some SEO support, you don't want the best SEO. You want the best SEO that can work within constraints and embraces those constraints rather than fighting. Also, like communication being one of those huge assets that SEOs probably generally lack. Like this is something I learned a lot at Amazon, was like how I communicate, being clear with my thoughts and also consistent with my asks. That's maybe the biggest thing I learned at Amazon. Concise writing, concise, clear thinking. I'm still not great at that. You can ask my colleagues now, my writing sometimes is terrible. But I see the value in it. And when it comes time to like work on a doc that goes to executives, I focus on the writing much better, much more. Yeah, so if you're the company hiring for an SEO, where do you find them? It's a great question. Like word of mouth, poach somebody from some other company. You can hire some headhunters. I don't know how that works, if that works well. Recruiters. There's some good agencies that have good SEOs, but you want to make sure those agencies aren't spread thin across too many clients, and you have to pay a premium for that. I work like a lot with hybrid models of in-house SEOs that also work with agencies, and you'll find that model has some really good advantages. Like you miss out on, so like with agencies, you'll find you get a lot of diffusion of responsibility, or traffic's bad. Diffusion of responsibility, low accountability. And this is not like a bad agencies to have. Like all agencies have this. It's just the way it works. Plus, they're not subject matter experts of your business. So that's where you come in with having this hybrid model of an agency and an in-house person. The in-house person becomes the subject matter expert in your niche. They know your competition inside and out. They can speak in the tone and manner that your company speaks. And they can help with the accountability issues and the diffusion of responsibility issues that agencies have. But the advantage of having also the agency at your side is you have lots of manpower, lots of person power. You can work at scale. You can address thousands of pages. And you get just available people, available staff immediately. Hiring is hard, man. Like hiring in-house, it takes a lot of buy-in from upper management, a lot of, especially in this day and age, like I'm making this in 2024, in the last 2.5, 3 years, getting headcount internally is like a huge undertaking. So that's why this hybrid model seems to work well. So I got off on a tangent a bit, but you're not going to hire the best SEO. The best SEOs exist outside of corporate America. And I think that a lot of people think that the people they interact with on social media or these like SEO influencers are really good SEOs, or the best SEOs. They're really good. A lot of them are really good. Most of them are good. But they're not the best. They're not even close to the best. Most of them aren't running any tests themselves. They're just taking tests and data from somewhere else and presenting it to you as new information. They're influencers, right? Just like me. This is like my only original thought for a long time. And it's not even that novel. But yeah, if you're on LinkedIn and you're seeing someone who's posting things like this Google core algorithm update looks like this, or this, it's probably just an influencer trying to get more reach. And they're not the best SEO. If you hired them, they probably work for an agency for one. If you hired them, you wouldn't necessarily get much from them. You would maybe you're paying a premium for their influencer status. So yeah, like be careful with that. But there's a lot of great SEOs out there that aren't posting and they're just working. And the best SEOs are not discussing things in the open.